Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this AFC South show here on Curtis's Podcast Network. I'm the host of this show, the host of That Real Texas Team podcast as well. You can find me over there holding it down, talking everything Texans football. With me, as always, my resident Colts fan, Jeff, a.k.a. Big Steck, holding it down over there on Unstabled, talking about his ponies. Jeff, how we doing this evening?
Been better. Riding a 3-game losing streak. I think the division collectively is on a 9-game losing streak, so it could be better. But I mean, I feel like we're coming up to a winnable game. So, but yeah, I think we're gonna go live on Unstable tomorrow, probably around 7. So be on the lookout for that and help us out. We're still at a joking 69 subscribers. So help us bump that number up.
Yes, sir. Like, subscribe, notification bell, people. Down here at the bottom, filling in for Isaiah. Pretty much as usual at this point. Our Jaguars guy for the evening, Trevor, of Third and Teal. How's it hanging over there? 2-8 is a hard pill to swallow.
Dude, it's pain and misery right now, dude. I honestly, I've spent the whole year just trying to rationalize what's happened so far and make light or sense of it, and there is none. The light is out, the sense is gone. There's so many problems, so little time.
As is the way.
Indeed.
Not represented this evening is our Titans podcast, Titans Takeaways, but you can catch Austin and Brian. Their latest episode will be out tomorrow morning. That'll be Friday morning at probably about 6 a.m. They will have shorts coming out and everything. Go over there, like, subscribe, trying to grow all the channels under the CPN banner. While you're at it, just hit the comment field. For the love of God, like, let us know anything, everything. Jalen,
everything.
You're always here, Jalen Johnson. He's one of the guys that like comments on everything. He's a Texans fan. Always love to see you. Need like 1,200 more of you. Anyway, so let's talk injuries before we get into our specific games. As far as who's been practicing, Will Anderson Jr. has not participated. This was the first day that the Texans held practice. Autry was a rest. Fudakasi, Lassiter, and Stingley did not participate. They were the only did not participate. Nico Collins was back in a limited participation role, but fully expect him back this Monday night against Dallas. Don't expect Will Anderson Jr., but everybody else on that list, with the exception of maybe Lassiter, I would expect them to be probably ready to roll. So, yeah, that Lassiter concussion I think is pretty serious. We'll see how that goes, but yeah. Jeff, what's the injury field looking like for the boys?
Right now, it's about the only bright spot of the team, honestly. The only one that didn't participate was Bernard Ryman, the left tackle. He hasn't practiced all week, and he missed. I felt like they were saying that he could have gone into the game, but like they kept reporting on him during, like helmet on, that kind of thing. But they he didn't come out again. So I don't know if it's precaution or if there's actual concern that he won't play. Other than that, Buckner was a full, EJ Speed limited, and both Blackman and Pittman were full. So it looks like Pittman will be back this week. So that's positive. And of course, they made the switch back to Anthony Richardson a couple of days after he said Joe Flacco was going for it until he says otherwise. And then 2 days later, he changed his mind. So he's back.
Hello, here's otherwise.
Oh, man.
Well, he said he'll finish out the season, I'm guessing, until he decides otherwise again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Sarah Ballard decide for him. I don't
know. Trevor?
Definitely a carousel over there. Yeah, we've had the injury bug all year long. It's been quite painful. As you guys are well aware of, Kirk been gone. As far as I know, the only ones that we really can expect back that are any changes this week is Mason Smith and Ezra Cleveland. They should be back this week. They were in limited participation, but they should be back this week. They already ruled Trevor Lawrence out this week. It took them up until game time this past weekend to do that. So kind of surprised it was already done this week. But that being said, he's dealing with the AC joint sprain, obviously, a non-throwing shoulder. That one hurts, man. Even though like our record's really bad, obviously, we are two different teams with and without him on the field. I think it's become blaringly obvious to anyone with a set of eyeballs. Other than that, we got Dewey Wingard back this week finally, so that was great. And other than that, I don't know of anyone else that we should be overly concerned about. I know Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne are taking their turns on the limited list, but neither are expected to miss any time. Other than that, I think that's all we got for injuries that aren't major headlines and everybody doesn't already know about.
Okay. For the Titans, there was only 3 did not participates. L'Jarius Sneed, Leroy Watson, the right tackle who's been rotational, and Justin Hardy, supposedly supposed to be a special teams ace. Jeff Simmons and Tony Pollard were did not participate yesterday, but it looks like it was just rest. They're full participants today. And it doesn't look like there's anybody missing practice for the Vikings, so it doesn't look like they're going to catch any breaks. Not that they would really be able to do much with it, but, with no Titans fan being here to represent their squad, we will go ahead and use them yet again as the first sacrificial lamb on this. Let's getting on, how touchdowns they're going to lose by. The Vikings come into this game in Tennessee favored by 6 with an over-under of 39.5 points. The Titans they were pretty in that game against the Chargers. A lot better than a lot of people anticipated they would be. The Chargers haven't really taken the top off of a defense as far as just bombarded them with points. So maybe that was to be expected. But, they had a touchdown called back on a fumble recovery that would have made that a 3-point game. And they had some other unfortunate plays. But one of the main highlights of this game was that Tony Pollard did bad on the ground. Just couldn't get anything going on the ground. And then Will Levis didn't lose them the game. Didn't make any terrible decisions. He was 5 incompletions, 2 touchdowns on 23 attempts, 175 yards. Nothing to write home about. Not perfect quarterback play by any means, but from where he was to where he is now, night and day differences. If they can get that, and you can see gradual steps being taken by one Mr. Will Levis, they could make this game interesting. Their defense isn't really that bad. They've got some pretty good defensive front members who have stepped up, especially because they're on the field all the damn time because their offense usually can't hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
But, the optimist in me says that, any given Sunday can happen. But I just don't have that kind of faith in this Titans team to get a job like this done anyway. So I'm going to have them losing this game. And I'm going to make it 31-17. I have a feeling that's going to be a common theme for the Titans to score 17. But, for them to win, you need the run game to get going. and you need Will Levis to play perfect football.
You
You also need your offensive line to do something that it wasn't able to do last week at all, to the tune of 9 sacks. You need them to protect in any way, shape, or form one Mr. Will Levis. If that is possible, Lord knows. But you can't have John Grenard and Blake Cashman and everybody just killing you every play. If you do,
Cashman's a dog.
Cashman is a dog. If you do, then you're fucked. You're cooked. Any more Titans takes on that?
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I was laughing because in my head I'm going, yeah, I'm going to say 35-17.
That's where I was going.
That was my score, 35-17.
I was thinking the same thing because I was just about to say our defense, I feel like it depends on who we have in the game, which is something we'll talk about later because it's going to affect our game very heavily. But depending on the rotation we have on the field, our defense is definitely more capable player-wise, in my opinion. We have a better front. We have a better linebacking core. And depending on the rotation, we do have a better secondary as well. They only have L'Jarius Sneed, and he really is getting pretty silenced over there, surrounded by nobody else, And you'll have that when you're the only guy that knows what the hell's going on. That being said,
in a couple weeks.
No, I know. Yeah, so he's even been out. I was just about to say that was my next point. It's not even like he's been able to be there. He's not even active.
Yeah.
With that being said, we could have edged that game out if Mac Jones was not the quarterback. But Mayo is worse, in my opinion, in majority of comparisons than Mac Jones. And our offense is definitely, in my opinion, better suited all the way around than that offense. I think everybody in the AFC South is the same way comparatively. This is not even just because I don't like the Titans. This has just got everything to do with the fact that Calvin Ridley has looked old. Will Levis has been ass. And Tony Pollard also looks bad. Almost all of the time. And their offensive line is bad. We know that. And I think another thing was that our offensive line was bad, but we were on our third guard. We're on our third guard, our second or third tackle. And it was bad. Our offensive line is not only bad from the start, but also beat up and now bad. So you put all those guys together, it's not good. And I think if they were able to get as many sacks against us with the amount of starters we did have left, they're definitely going to tear Levis apart. Cashman especially. Cashman is dude, that guy's nuts. He's a heat-seeking missile.
All I'm going to say is I would – right now I'm just hoping for a stat line of 18 for 23, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns and no picks. I'm just – right now that'd be beautiful after watching these couple of disaster games by Flacco. So I'm not going to knock Will Levis in this game. He's had games where he's looked like booty, but – I mean, you want to see improvement. That's kind of what he gave you. They just didn't have any run game to speak of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like we talked about earlier. It's like L'Jarius Sneed. Even when he is active, if you're the only one that has any idea what's going on, you're still going to look bad as a whole. You know?
And it's not like Herbert lit him up either. I mean, they just had a better run game and just more consistent. But yeah, I'm hoping for some kind of decent stat line from the quarterback this week, but
I'm just hoping our game isn't over by the first quarter.
Tony Pollard has the 11th most rushing yards this season.
No, yeah, I know. I'm not talking about a statistical. What I mean is those running backs that just take the game over in crunch time. You really need it. They can bust through a bad line. They can make your offense. It doesn't matter whether your offensive line is good. They're going to do their job. That's not necessarily what you're getting from Tony Pollard. Statistically, he's putting up numbers, at least, to say he's not the worst in the league, but what that offensive needs out of a running back is what Derrick Henry has been all these years. It doesn't matter whether this offensive line can block. It really doesn't. I'm going to take 5 people with me and keep going. That's what that team needs out of a running back, and that's not him. And I think that's why you see the huge drop off in the run game. Because even though last year Derrick Henry wasn't putting up numbers that we're familiar with from him, right? Tajay Spears and such company were able to capitalize off of everybody trying to punch the gut to stop Henry, and they were able to take advantage of the outsides. Now that Henry's not a threat to them, and they're not running these double sets that can scare people like that, they can just hone in on the one guy, and they're just going to murder that run game because he's not that guy. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the sad truth of it. And I think Tennessee's probably pretty upset right now looking at Henry's stat line.
Yeah, 1,100 yards.
Yeah, he's fucking – yeah, he's that guy still, turns out.
What was your score prediction?
I was also going to go 35-17, Jeff. I'm not even kidding you. I was talking to my uncle about this earlier today. I was saying you're lucky to hit 17. And I felt like 35 was going to be a good point because Justin Jefferson's going to be looking for some get back this week. He's going to get back on track because Tyson Campbell locked his ass down. Like it was a pretty bad performance from him, characteristically. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they played him physical. Like every one of our DBs that lined up on him played him physical and didn't really give him anything. He had to earn every bit of the yards he had. And I think he's definitely going to be looking to take advantage of a hurting secondary, to say the least.
Yeah. And there was a guy on Facebook. We're in that AFC South, shit talk group. And one guy said, "Oh, Calvin Ridley the last 2 or whatever weeks has 300 yards, second most in the league." And I'm like, man, if you're going to paint a picture, paint the whole picture. Like he had 180 whatever yards aside from the last few weeks. And like he had 50, 77, 9, 5, and 0. And that 0 was against the Colts. Like this, don't act like he's some elite receiver. He called him the best in the division. I'm like,
I saw that. I didn't even respond. It just made me laugh. Oh, dude. No, Jeff, we have got to talk about Jake today. Today, Jeff.
Jackass.
No. Curtis, have you seen this guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, listen. Oh, yeah, I know you have. You've responded to it. Listen, Jeff here stoops to the level every time. Okay? Jeff
I did it one time.
No, Jeff.
Did it one time.
No, Jeff, you pop up the highlighted comment every time, Jeffrey.
Because we're friends on the algorithm puts me on the top.
I know. So I see you going from here, Jeff, all the way down to Jake.
I did it one time when it was with Flacco, like just to try and get under skin. It worked with you.
No, yeah, it was bad. It was bad because sometimes Jeff just throws shots in the dark, and he knows that most casuals are going to miss what he's saying. But there's going to be that one fan that knows, hey, that's kind of horse shit. I'm wait a minute now.
Oh, but man, this dude's saying like Ridley is the best receiver, and I'm like, bro, he's barely the best receiver on your team. Shut the fuck up.
My uncle's a Titans fan, and he was like, yeah, Calvin's gone. Calvin's doing really good so far. I was like, dude, he's had like 2 good halves of football all year. Man. What are you talking about? He's doing well. He hasn't.
I'm sorry, like even against New England, like 70 yards, that's really not what a number one receiver does. It's not terrible. Like in the Chargers, he had 2 touchdowns, and that's what he should be doing. But beyond that, I'm sorry, 42-0-5-9, like that's not a number one, dude. That is not. Receiver. Yeah, that's.
Come on, man. Then we still have idiotic fans that say we should have kept him and not drafted BTJ. By the way, I have to say that one time just because.
No.
Yucky.
All right. Well, look. Who wants to go next? Jags, Colts.
I don't know. I think this Colts Jets game is interesting.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, probably. All right, let's go Jags first then, because the spread here is ridiculous. There's a 14-point spread. Yeah. That is higher than whatever that Titans game was a couple weeks ago against the Lions. That was like an 11.5-point spread. What in the actual fuck?
Dude, I can tell you, I've got one answer for you. Mac Jones. They saw Mac Jones this last weekend, and they know he ain't shit and hasn't been shit, won't ever be shit. That's your answer. I mean, we have somehow played all of these teams that should have just – if you look at our record and the stats and the stuff that we have allowed and have not been able to do and our shortcomings and all that stuff, we should have been getting blown out by these teams, and we haven't. We managed to keep them all close somehow. We've lost so many. In a kinder universe, we're in the top of the league right now, dude. Like, I'm telling you, we're one-score games are our kryptonite this year. But that being said, though, the spread is absolutely Mac Jones. Yeah. Because that's the major difference here. And, I mean, because people thought that the spread against Green Bay was wide receiver. It wasn't. Trevor led a game-saving drive with 11 personnel. Like, he's throwing to nobody. I mean, it's not that. It's absolutely 110% Mac Jones and the lack thereof quarterback play. I mean, he came out at the beginning of the game. He was a game manager. He did what you would ask a backup quarterback to do. Second half of that game, like, he threw picks to nobody but them. There was nobody there. No receiver, nothing. Just, here you go. Here you go. That's the spread. I guarantee it. And honestly, I find it hard to put a score prediction on this one myself because normally, like I said, we are good at keeping these games close, even when they shouldn't be. I think theoretically, the Vikings and the Packers should have blown us the hell out. It should not have been close, especially considering statistically what has happened this year. But we keep them close somehow. I want to say it's going to be like 28-14 probably, ballpark. I think because we've seen the Lions in the past couple of weeks make mistakes. They are kind of vulnerable as far as the security of the ball. Now, everybody's like, oh, Jared Goff's one of the most, consistent, accurate passers in the league right now. That's absolutely correct. But these past couple of weeks, he's had a lot of turnovers. I mean, his turnovers have gone through the roof in just 2 weeks, more specifically this past week. But he'll obviously be looking to clean that up, and our defense will definitely help him out with that. But, I think 28-14 is probably realistic for the way it's going to go.
Okay. For me, basing it on how last week went, if the Jags want to win, you stop the run game at all costs, and then you make Jared Goff beat you. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets double coverage, and then you just make him try to beat you. He will make boneheaded throws. A couple of those were him getting hit and the ball was, tossed into the air, whatever. If you can get pressure on him when he's throwing the ball and you can bottle up the run, you can make this game very, very close and uncomfortable for the Lions fans. If they get that running game going, you're cooked.
Oh, absolutely. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a field day.
Yeah.
But that's if they run up the middle.
Correct. I mean, there was a lot in the first half against the Texans where they would try to run to the outside and couldn't get to the corner. It was when Kamari Lassiter got hurt that started being a thing that they could do effectively. Because Lassiter would set that edge, and good luck, bro. Like, just fucking.
Yeah, you're not getting past that guy.
No, phenomenal rookie. But this game's actually pretty winnable. No team in the NFL is impervious to fucking up. Last week was, huge evidence of that.
Indicative of that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep this.
I gotta say though, one thing. You're right about the outside edge, and I think that's where we have a Ventrell Miller. Ventrell Miller has been one of these shining spots of this team through all of the disappointment so far this year. That guy's a stud. If he's on his feet, you're not getting past him. It's that simple. Like, I don't care if you're going up the middle on the edge, you're not getting past that guy if he's on his feet. The keys to win the game, I think, for me, as far as like what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. The keys to winning this game, we got to do something on offense. I think our defense will do enough with our linebacking core and our front line. I know that we've actually been really good at getting pressure on quarterbacks this year. Not so great on finishing the play, but Jared Goff is not your electric scrambler either. So he can scramble. He can get out of there, but he's not the guy that's going to light you up on the rushing yard. So keys to winning is finish the play as far as quarterback pressure. The rest will come in due time. And Mac Jones has got to actually play like he's a quarterback. I mean, I'm not asking him, to go out there and throw like Tom Brady, but he's actually got to look like he knows what the hell is going on. If he does anything resembling good quarterback play, we have a solid chance of actually pulling this out. Keys to defeat, though, are one and the same, just vice versa. I mean, we don't finish the play. We give Jared Goff a little too much time, and that soft zone scheme that Ryan Nielsen's been bringing to the table this year is going to get carved up like it always does. We've been a bend but don't break all year. I think that had a lot to do with injuries, though. Now that we're getting some guys back from injury, we are seeing more man-to-man, and that man is actually starting to work a lot better now. So there's no real telling. Like, that's what I meant earlier when I said it depends on what personnel we have and what rotation we do. We've seen sets where we come out man-to-man and we can lock anybody down, and then we come back out the next set of downs and we're complete soft, cushy zone that's like, here, you can just walk to the end zone. If we can stop Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, either one, I don't want to disrespect either one. They're both killing it this year, both of them. If we can stop either one, it looks very promising for us this week, I think.
Absolutely. My score predictions 27-24 Detroit. I don't know how the 24 points happens, but we'll get there. Jeff.
I feel like this game's going to come down to when does Detroit decide to let off the gas. With Mac Jones, I don't see Jacksonville sustaining many drives. It seems like, I mean, I like Tank Bigsby, but it seems like they're kind of in the same boat. Stop Jonathan Taylor, make the quarterback beat him, and they can't do it. So I feel like this Jacksonville's kind of in that same boat with them. I don't know, man. In Detroit, I got to say something.
This is how bad Mac Jones was.
It's
just a testament to what you said. He's just that bad.
So it's hard for me to say if, the Detroit pours it on, or if I'm going to say like 13 Jacksonville, 31 Detroit.
We miss a field goal too? Ouch. Or you just think a touchdown, 2 field goals?
Yeah. I don't trust Mac Jones a whole lot.
I don't either. No, Press Taylor actually said today that they designed screen passes to Brian Thomas Jr. this past Sunday, and he didn't even throw the fucking ball to him. He threw it somewhere else. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of always running screen passes, but it's definitely designed for momentum for a quarterback of his stature.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? You got one destination with the ball. What are you doing?
That's your one and only read, bud.
No, literally, and the fact that Press Taylor came out and said, "Yeah, we designed it to go right there," and he didn't throw it there.
Yeah, now you know why he got traded for peanuts.
Yeah.
So let's shift to the Colts game. Colts at Jets. Jets are favored by 4. 43.5 point over under. Hefe, let's hear about your Pony Boys.
I'm conflicted, man. I mean, they've lost 3 in a row, couple of games under Old Man River, and they got to have a get right game at some point, right? I mean, probably not, but I don't know, man. I feel like this game could be really interesting. I feel like one of 3 things could happen, and the most logical is, the Jets, the Colts make Aaron Rodgers look like the Aaron Rodgers of old, but I don't see the Jets being able to really blow the Colts out. I feel like there's more opportunity that the Colts could do that against the Jets, surprisingly. Not saying that's going to happen, but I mean, Anthony Richardson has had good games in his career. He's also had bad ones, but he's too damn athletic to be this terrible. So I don't know if a lot of it's been Shane Steichen. His play calling has been abysmal. I mean, there's no denying it. And Joe Flacco, last game, he's not playing, but man, he threw that nasty pick 6 on their first play of the game, and then on the next drive threw another interception. It's Anthony Richardson. It didn't look much better. I think the only difference was with Anthony Richardson, the Colts ran for 60 more average rushing yards, but 60 less passing yards. So it was one and the same with the two out there, but I'd rather the young 22-year-old get reps at this point than just watching another performance like that from Flacco. So, but yeah, he definitely opens up the run game, and I think that definitely benefits Jonathan Taylor. But again, you go back to Shane Steichen, who at times has pulled Taylor for no reason. I mean, I can't remember who they were playing, but he didn't play an entire fourth quarter. Wasn't hurt, just wasn't on the field. There was a third down with Joe Flacco out there. He took Taylor out and Trey Sermon. Flacco should have thrown it to Sermon, but you have to ask, why the fuck was Sermon on the field and not Taylor? Like, why does he have this? Like, why does he have this? And I talked about this on Unstable. Like, why does he have this tendency to pull his best player on key critical downs? Like, it blows my mind. And he has a tendency to not take points. Like, it was a long 4th and 2, 4th and 3, went for it instead of taking 3. Instead of being down by 4, you're down by 7. Bills go down the field and go up by 10 instead of 7 again. Like, and you don't even know that they score those points because, you know, you do the whole kickoff and everything, and you don't know how the next drive's going to go because they don't have a short field. So Steichen isn't even really putting any of these players in the best position to win a game. He's making them play with a disadvantage. And when you got a young quarterback, you got to put him in the best position. If points are to be had, you take them. Like, I don't care what analytics says. I don't give a shit about that. Yeah, if you're on the 45 and it's 4th and 1, sure, go for it. But you're at like the 30, it's a long 4th, 2, 4th and 3. Take the 3. Like, you have one of the highest paid kickers in the league. You use them. So this game is really going to come down to coaching, and Steichen's got to get his head out of his ass. I don't know if him being the head coach and play calling is too much for him. So far, it's been bad. Like, his play calling this season, like, it's not just for bits and pieces. It's pretty much the year has been terrible. So I feel like he needs to hand that over, but that's obviously not up to me. And he's got to open up the playbook, man. You've got really athletic guy in Richardson back on the field, opens up a lot of read options, things like that can throw off a defense. Jets, I think, have an OKD. I think it's like a middle-of-the-pack defense ranking-wise. I don't know the exact statistics on it, but at times they've been a good defense, and we know what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do in the past, but the Colts have also done pretty good recently at getting to the quarterback, and their line is shit. So I think the Colts would keep it close, but I feel like at home the Jets probably have a little bit of advantage. I can't remember what I said the score was going to be. Oh, and I forgot about this. The top 4 tackling leaders, Zaire Franklin and Nick Cross are 2 of the top 4. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but at least we're leading in one category. But yeah, let me see here. What did I say the Colts were going to do? Yeah, I put the Jets to win 24-20. But I do feel like this could be a game where the Colts kind of run away with it, but I don't have any faith in play calling for that to happen. I'd have to see it first. They've played, aside from the Bills, every game has been really, really close. They lost to the Texans by a combined 5 points. I think their worst loss before the Bills was the Packers, I think, where they lost by 6. They've been in every game except for Buffalo. I don't care what the score says, they got blown out in that one. But yeah, I think the Colts definitely have a chance in this one, but I think they make Aaron Rodgers look a lot better than he's played so far this year, unfortunately.
Okay. I was noticing this while you were talking about the play calling. So everybody in the South, I think we have play calling issues as just a general constant theme. But then there's like different sub symptoms that are making things exacerbated. So, like, for instance, the Jags and the Texans have a good quarterback, bad play calling, and a piss poor offensive line. The Titans have a bad quarterback, bad play calling, and a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
The Colts have, we don't even know yet at quarterback, a great offensive line and terrible play calling. We're all living in like 2 degrees of separation here.
It's hell.
Yeah.
It's hell.
And all the hype from this offseason. Oh,
that's out the window.
I think the Jets have pretty much already seen their playoff hopes go up in smoke. That happened last week when they lost to the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. So they're sitting here at 3-7, walking into this game against the Colts, who desperately need a win.
I mean, the Colts are 1 game out of the 7 seed, so it's not like the season's over. But my God,
well, you're 4-6, 4-7.
Yeah, 4-6, and Denver has the 7 seed right now. I think at 5-5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, makes sense.
Really matter.
Like if the season ended today, but
Anthony Richardson, I don't think will figure it out this year. But I think Shane Steichen's to blame for that. But I also think you were mentioning the bounce back game. I think that's exactly what you're going to see probably from the Jets, in my opinion. Because I think what you're seeing is growing pains, obviously, from the new head coach regime change. That defense is definitely plummeted without Robert Saleh. The offense is definitely growing into a Devontae Adams position, and him and Aaron Rodgers kind of, you're going to do what we say type thing. They're not looking to come out and look even worse. I know Aaron Rodgers is not going to allow some shit like that. Now, doesn't mean he's going to like forcefully win the game, but he's not going to allow that either. And I think at this point, with what we've seen from AR so far, I don't think he can do much to stop him. Honestly. I mean, especially, I'm not going to fault the guy necessarily, but I also can say I've never watched a starting quarterback that's 22 years old check himself out of the game on a 3rd down. I've never once seen that, and I don't think I'll ever see it again, especially not from a quarterback that's supposed to be featured as a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
My guy, you cannot fucking do that. Like, if your only weapon's your legs and then you show them that they can make you tired and you'll stop fucking doing that, yeah, you're in trouble. So they're going to – and obviously we know that the front 7 of the Jets is pretty fucking good. They have a good front 7. They're going to be watching for Anthony Richardson. And I think that once they put a couple cracks on him and they force him to use the arm, that's when things are going to get ugly. And I don't think the game score will get ugly because I don't think either team right now is firepower capable of just blowing the other one out. I think it is more likely to see the Colts do it than I would assume the Jets to do it, but I don't think either can do it. I think it's going to be like 21-17 Jets. Maybe pretty close. But I feel like the Jets take it mainly because they're not switching quarterback. They're not, you know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to switch back to a guy that's obviously cold. Anthony Richardson was cold the last time he started. He's definitely cold now. I mean, it's not getting any better for him. And
I mean,
it's not like
I will say, just from an observation standpoint, since he took himself out of the game, got benched, whatever, it seems like he's doing the right stuff. Like, he's at least saying the things that you want to hear. His body language on the side, I'm like, okay, they caught him yawning against the Vikings. I'm like, we were all fucking yawning watching that Colts offense. Like, it was like, I'm not gonna blame him for that, but he's on the sideline. He's got his helmet on every single time offense comes off the field. He's with the quarterback. He's with the offense. It's like they're calling plays, and he's got his little play sheet out. So it's like his body language on the sidelines. He wants to play. He's still learning. It's things that you want to see from a 22-year-old quarterback. So I think he's at least doing the right stuff. He's saying the right shit. I don't have his quote pulled up, but he had I think it was Wednesday. He had was interviewed after practice, and he's like, I've taken this opportunity to grow and learn. I made a mistake, and it is what it is, and I've growing from it, and I'm taking this lesson from the coach, and I'm grateful that he's given me another opportunity. So I've always said he's got a good head on his shoulders. It's just, I don't want to say like immaturity just from him being immature, doing stupid shit. I don't think he's a bad guy, but it's just like football immaturity. Like, it's like he came into the season, you're the starter, and there's nothing that's going to change that. Maybe this benching was a little bit of a wake-up call, and I hope that he's learned what not to do from Joe Flacco at least.
Yeah, it's kind of what we were hoping with Gardner Minshew too, though, right?
Yeah.
For me, I'm going 23-17 Jets. I don't see either one of these teams putting up a crazy amount of points. I think the Jets defense is going to give Anthony Richardson more problems than he's ready to deal with. But we shall see. We shall see.
Curtis,
Do you guys have any more Jets Colts commentary?
I do want to point out something. You brought up, though, that we're all like a couple centimeters or degrees off of suffrage.
Yeah.
Why does it seem, and I just want to get your guys' opinion on this before we move on when I forget, why do we all have terrible substitution packages too? Because like you were just mentioning the Trey Sermon, and like say for instance, Trevor's interception to kill the game against Philly was ugly, right? But we've come to find out later that was the read they wanted him to make. And after breaking down the all 22, there was nowhere else to go with the ball. He was out of time. He was about to get smashed in the face. So it's intentional grounding, move out of field goal range with no timeouts, or throw the ball and hope he goes and gets it. That being said, why the hell was Ernest Johnson our running back in the end zone on that play? Like, this is make or break the game. You got Ernest Johnson on the hot route. What the hell is going on here? And it's like you said, why was Trey Sermon ever even on the field? What the hell is going on here? Like, it seems, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I have honestly contemplated, like, there's got to be some, like, higher class table that sits within the NFL and just says, you're not going to allow this division to ever be worth a damn. They're always going to make piss poor decisions, and it's going to be so blatantly obvious you have no choice but to believe it's intentional. Like, yeah. It really feels that way because, like, how can we as people, and I know we're not just like your casual, just I watch football because I think it's cool. I understand that. I understand that we have an understanding in the game. But these guys do it all day, every day. How is it that we can sit back and see these kinds of things and know that they're coming? And I know me personally, I can watch a Jaguars game and I can damn near telecast to you exactly what they're about to run. They become that predictable. I know exactly what we're about to do. And so does every other defense that lines up in front of them. So why is it that we can see it, you think, and they don't?
Well, I used to not really know how to answer that question, but then I watched, there was an episode of Landry Locker, the locker room with Landry Locker. It's a Texans talking head, and he was talking about, he was sitting in the booth watching the game with some friends, and there was like a lawyer of some sort that was sitting in the same suite that was just kind of half-assed calling what was going to happen, and he was getting it right like every time. And he brought up the point, it's like, yes, you could sit here and say that that's a problem, that somebody in the stands can pretty much predict what you're doing, but we're not looking at what is causing that versus what is happening. We look at the what's happening and we're like, what the hell? How can we do this? The cause of it is the same cause that has been ailing all of our teams all season. Shitty offensive line play, questionable quarterback play. You can't put the finer print or the finer details in action in a play when the offensive line is definitely not going to give you that kind of time. So you've got to run the predictable, the things that you know you can run, the things that you know this group does well. And that's where we get the, oh, it's a run to the left. Oops, screen pass to the right. It's where it all comes from.
I can see that. I can see try to play to their strengths kind of argument. Like, we know that this is really all they can do. We're going to go this way with it. I see that. And then on the other token, it would be, if you know that's what they can do, and this is what you're limited to, right? You're shooting yourself in the foot. None of our teams seem to make big splash moves to protect our quarterbacks. Really, Jeff, you guys don't have to. You have a great line. But you guys have other glaring issues that have been glaring issues for a long time that could be addressed, but just never get that. We have a shitload of them. I know the Texans do. They just believe that Laramie Tunsil should be able to do it all by him fucking self. You know what I mean? Like, why is it? You know, it's just that's the question. I think that's definitely takes a lot more looking than just clicking through ESPN Red Zone on Sunday. It definitely takes a deep look, because you look at the records right now and you think, oh, the Texans are glaringly the best team in the division. Record-wise says that, but watch the tape on all of these teams. They are very, very close to being bottom of the barrel shit comparatively across the board. We're all bad. Like, we are all bad.
And we talk about all this play calling and shit, and it's like, okay, Jonathan Taylor was doing really good against Buffalo. Like, he finished the half 15 carries, 107 yards or something like that in the first half. And as halftime rolls in, Justin from Unstable, we're texting back and forth during the game, and he goes, man, he's like, and I just know that he's going to for some reason pull Jonathan Taylor out of this game. And sure enough, Jonathan Taylor finished with 21 total carries, like 114 yards. So he gave him six more carries for 7 yards. Like,
we did that against Houston. Tank Bigsby killed them. Tank Bigsby destroyed them. And then he pulled him the whole fourth quarter. He never touched the ball again.
Yeah.
And there was no injury. Like, they asked him specifically, was he injured? No, he wasn't injured. Then what the fuck are you doing? Like, what
Shane Steichen will give us the Chuck Pagano, chopping the damn wood. He was like, oh, the game pace didn't dictate. The game didn't dictate your best player. The fuck are you even talking about?
Well, that's not. Do you know what Doug Peterson told us this past weekend?
Mm-hmm.
They asked him. They said on that last interception, if Mac doesn't get hit, do you think it's an interception? His words were, "I'm not going to go into the details of that play, as you guys would not understand it."
Yeah, it's a man who knows he's fired.
That's a man that knows he is fucked. Yeah, you are absolutely correct.
Jesus
He's
Christ.
just ready to get out of here. Dude, he literally said we would not understand it. We broke it down on the last episode on the All 22. There's nothing to not be understood. No matter whether or not Mac Jones thought he was running a go or an out and back in towards the outer pylon, he threw a shitty ball to a double coverage zone. There's no way around that. It was a bad pass and an even worse read. Like, there's no covering that. But no, you wouldn't understand that. You guys are simpletons.
Idiot.
You wouldn't understand that. Okay, we're idiots.
You wouldn't understand, dumbass.
Yeah, literally.
Well, look, let's pivot here to the only game in the AFC South where one of the AFC South teams is favored, and that's Houston traveling to the very, very dysfunctional Dallas Cowboys stadium. Dak is on season-ending IR after a surgery. They have way over the hill Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook. Cooper Rush is in for Dak Prescott, and he's not able to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. This offense a total accounted for 66 passing yards against the Philadelphia Eagles last week in a 34-6 loss. Holy crap. Historically speaking, CJ Stroud's passing yards per game average is 100 yards less when he's playing away games. There is typically a degree of struggle that is just not there for home games. I don't know what that is, why that is, but it is a thing. Even with that, even with some of the guys like Lassiter and Will Anderson Jr. possibly not playing, with Nico coming back, with this new offensive line adjustment where, last week we only got sacked twice. That's a huge improvement. The pressures were still there, but the sack was not. So, CJ's seeing the pocket a little better. He was throwing the ball pretty well in that first half. The entire issue for me is the entire issue it's been the entire season. The second half adjustments don't fucking exist. Bobby Slowick is playing himself every single game. It's like he's never in his life played ESPN 2K or ESPN NFL 2K5 or any of the Madden games or hell, even NFL Street. Dude has no concept of how to build momentum with anybody or, scheme all players open. He's really good at getting particular players in good spots. Beyond that, the offensive line for most of the season has been complete shambles, and yet somehow the running game existed. Last week was a complete opposite of that. The pass protection was, pretty damn good, all things considered. And the running game was non-existent. 25 carries for 46 yards for Joe Mixon. Terrible. He did get a couple slot receptions, which I'd like to see more of. He was able to do pretty well with some of the receptions he was asked to, get on the side. But ways to win are simple. Don't let Cooper Rush remember what it's like to get winning. Don't let this offense find any sort of rhythm, just like you did to the Lions in the first half. Stop the run. Make Cooper Rush beat you. If Stingley is playing, half the field is off limits. So he's going to be throwing at everyone else who's not Derek Stingley. And Jalen Petre's been playing his fucking ass off this year. I don't see a way to win for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that Houston, even with all the woes that we have coming into this game, is well far ahead of what the Dallas Cowboys could bring on Monday night. Score prediction. What did I do for my score prediction? I went crazy for this one. So usually I'm a pretty this is a pretty realistic kind of score kind of guy, but this one not so much. 47-7 in the most boring one-sided Monday Night Football game in a long time.
2 safeties and a field goal.
It might be, but Micah Parsons is back.
He is.
But I'm not like the best part of this team right now is their defense, and their defense doesn't scare me. There's just not the only thing that's going to beat the Texans Monday night if they lose is Bobby Slowick and CJ Stroud seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched the Sunday night game against the Lions, but there was a touchdown pass that should have been a touchdown pass, but he waited like a full 3 seconds to throw the ball to Tank Dell, allowing enough time for Carlton Davis to travel all the way across the field to intercept the pass. Would have gotten us to 30 points, probably gets us the win, but yeah. Instead, here we are. I again don't see a way that the Cowboys win this game. It's the Governor's Cup. If you ask Texans fans who live in Houston what their number one most hated team is,
Dallas. Dallas.
It's not exactly. It's not the
It's
Jags.
Dallas.
It's not the Titans. It's not the Colts. It's Dallas fucking Cowboys. So that's why. And I'm not even from Houston, but I don't like the Cowboys. That's why the podcast is titled That Real Texas Team. Because fuck the Cowboys.
That's
Fuck
right.
the
Fuck the Cowboys. Yeah.
Texans
with
by
that.
4.
Wait,
We
we
can all
all
get
we all
around
can
with
hate
that.
each other, but we don't hate anybody more than the Cowboys.
Yeah,
That's
fuck
exactly
the Cowboys.
right.
Fuck Jerry Jones and fuck Dakota Prescott, especially.
For real.
I gotta say though, I think you remember we talked before the season about if it was coming, that sophomore slump, and I think you're seeing it. And I think what you're seeing is people have figured out that Stoic knows how to get one person or 2 people schemed open. If you can isolate those 2 people, CJ's, I'm not taking away from the fact that he's an incredible athlete, but he's not reading defenses. He knows where the ball's going before it's ever snapped. And when that play gets broke down or some coverage comes in and actually locks that down, that's when you see him start to make these mistakes. And then when he's got to wait a little bit longer, the pocket collapses. I think the key to I think there is one way for Dallas to win this game, and it's to absolutely destroy CJ Stroud. That is like the only way they can win this game. And with Micah Parsons coming back, First of all, they do that podcast together. They both want to put some numbers up on each other, obviously. And Micah Parsons in a return game, and CJ's not having his best year. Okay, but for a multitude of reasons, but not the best year. I think Micah Parsons is going to take advantage of that line, and CJ will come face to face with him multiple times. Now, whether their secondary can hold long enough to give them the time to do that, that remains to be seen. And that really all depends on what Nico Collins steps on the field. Is this a Nico Collins that's 100% ready to go? Or is this a guy that's kind of trying to rush back because it's been clear that they need him? Score prediction, I have to say, I think it's 28-14. I do think the Texans take it. I can't get behind a 47 bomb, but hey, just because I know that CJ historically does do worse on the road. I mean, we know that. I do think that they do have the front seven to knock him off his feet more than a few times. And I think we all knew that was his kryptonite long before he started making it glaringly obvious. That being said, they know what they got to do, on defense. They know the offense isn't going to get it done. That defense knows what they got to do. And I did see them at first for a half of football play good defense against the Lions. The Lions are the most innovative and lucrative offense in the league. There's no doubt in that. I mean, touchdown passes to Penei Sewell, for Christ's sake. Like, they are that team, But that's what I got. And I think the keys to win for Houston is just keep C.J. Stroud clean. Keep C.J. Stroud clean, you're going to win the game. I think it's just that simple. Keep him on his feet.
I think you're right. There's also, even if C.J. Stroud got hurt in this game, I think Davis Mills can beat this Cowboys team. He almost did it a couple years ago.
That's accurate.
He almost did it a couple years ago with less. So,
I would agree there. I can see that.
Jeff?
I'm going to say that there are two ways the Dallas Cowboys win this game. One of them is probably far more likely to happen than the other. The first of two ways that they win is what Trevor said. They beat the shit out of CJ Stroud, rattle him. They just don't let the Texans get anything going on offense. And then the second one they also need to happen is to have Ezekiel Elliott get back to prime Cowboy form, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So
no.
I think those two things have to happen for Dallas to win, and I don't see it. I think CeeDee Lamb is a fantastic receiver. I don't think that there's anybody to really throw it to him. I also think that the Texans front is decent enough to get after Cooper Rush. So I just, like you guys, I don't really, unless if those two things happen and the Cowboys just completely control it with their running game, I don't see that happening. Yeah, I think the Texans kind of run away with it, and I have them winning 27-13.
All right. Gentlemen, that puts us at the end of this pod. Do we have any closing comments?
Pray for us, please. We are in danger. Rest in peace, Mac Jones.
All right. Well, look, folks, I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your evenings to come on and talk AFC South football with me. Go ahead, check out Titans Takeaways. Go hop on Third and Teal, like, subscribe. Head on over to Unstable.
Going live right after this.
Like and subscribe. They're about to, Third and Teal's about to go live. Head on over to That Real Texas Team podcast. Like and subscribe. Notification bells on all of them. Like, subscribe here as well. We're at 541 at the time of this recording. Like, see those numbers keep jumping up. And most of all, be good people and fuck the Titans.
And never the Titans.
Fuck the Titans. Fuck the Titans.
And the Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys.
Fuck the Cowboys.
And Cowboys. Yeah, fuck the Cowboys.